Good morning, everyone. My name is Nicole Nixon, and I am the CEO and founder of Listing Central LLC. While we get the slides up, to give you some background of who I am, I started in telecom when I was about in my early 20s, and back then I was with Bell Atlantic, that's now Verizon. I was a customer service rep, and the CLECs would submit requests to Verizon through fax. So if anyone's trying to count how many years ago that was, but in order to automate getting data to Verizon, they needed some type of local service request in order to get the consumer data and listing information to Verizon. I was one of the first ones to write the requirements to automate the consumer data. So when we talk about telecom data, I wanted to introduce to you a new path in telecom. So I'm going to ask you to go on this journey with me to learn how data is about to take a new space in telecom. When we talk about telecom data, the most important type of data is your consumer data, your business customers as well as your residential customers. Now, I want to be very clear. The data we're talking about is specifically names, addresses, telephone numbers, but when we're talking about your business customers, the category, what type of business are they? Now, here at ITW, everyone is doing a phenomenal job with growing your networks, but who's taking care of your data? So it's time for someone to support the movement of your data. So, real quick, before the internet, does anyone remember how telecom data was shared? 411 and the local white and yellow pages. Now, if you're under 30, you may not have ever used 411. It's literally having a phone number where you can call and obtain information about a person or a business. Same with the white and yellow pages. It is the only free method of communication in telecom. So now that the internet is here, how does everyone think telecom data is shared? Same thing. There's been no change in data in telecom for over 20, if not 30 years. But here's why 411 in the phone book are still very important. There are customers who don't have Wi-Fi and the internet. This is how they still get information. 411 in the phone book are still the only ways a consumer can control their privacy. For businesses, this is the only way they can find valid consumer data and advertise through the phone book. But guess what? That's the only way we communicate in telecom. There are no other communication platforms the providers can control in telecom. None. Only 411 and the white and yellow pages. So here we have the most trusted source of telecom in connecting our customers with validated data where the consumer can control their privacy is not connected to the internet, the most trusted source to connect us all to each other. So I'd like to introduce you to Listing Central. We are the first independent and nationwide telecom data company. What does that mean? We are here to connect telecom data everywhere for all providers. So what does that mean? If you own your own network in the United States, instead of sending your data to the lovely ILECs, who I know you enjoy sending your data to, you will now have a new source. We physically remove all of your customer data from every ILEC and allow you to now operate as an independent provider in the United States. Not only that, your business customers have a more expanded platform to advertise all through you. We help you customize products. So we've productized telecom data. Your consumers now have the ability to not only be private, but I mean really private, even over the internet. So there's a huge cybersecurity play. So what does this mean for you? You now have a new revenue stream in telecom data. What is the value to the customer? So the traditional path, for those who are learning about how data is managed in telecom, the ILECs, so the Verizons, AT&Ts, Lumens, they control the path of all telecom data today. With the new path, with Listing Central, you control it. The traditional path, no revenue opportunities for any providers with their telecom data. With Listing Central, you actually now have a new revenue stream. The dependency on the ILECs, the traditional path, complete independence. This means you no longer send your data to the ILECs. Only local voice is supported with traditional, with independence on the new path, all providers. So not just local, cable, Fios, VoIP, but even wireless. Wireless can soon have its own data product for your business customers. Well, they can advertise all of their numbers through you at one location. And probably one of the highlights, in the traditional path, everything is regulated by the FCC. Well, because we are all data, we are not regulated. You manage the networks, we manage the data. The value to your consumers, we're putting your consumers back in control of their data. As we grow to become international and focusing on the GDPR, even though the US is not required, because of the data elements in telecom data, we adhere to the customer approving what information we share. So we will have new privacy options for residential customers, which is also a new revenue stream. And for your business customers, they'll now be able to advertise their locations no matter who they are, where they are, or the type of networks they're on. So this isn't just where we end, this is where we begin. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Nicole, for what looks like the revolution for telecom data. It is my great pleasure now to welcome George Gioglatzou to the stage. He's the VP of Strategy for Omnispace, so please enjoy the presentation. Thank you.